Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of The Marketing Gamble. In today's episode, I've actually got a guest episode, but not a guest on this podcast, me as a guest on another podcast. He's called Ash Borland. He's kind of the big mortgage marketer. He's also my mentor, so I thought it'd be a cool episode on my podcast to kind of show you that episode where I was a guest on his podcast. Ash is, he's mentored me. He's taught me quite a lot already about marketing and also marketing in financial services. And in his, as when I was a guest on his podcast, we kind of went into the story of how I became sort of entrepreneurial, and also we talk a lot about marketing specifically to financial services. But I thought it'd be cool to share it with you on here. So enjoy the episode.
Hello, guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Mortgage Mavericks Show, the show that takes all of the industry leaders, industry heroes, and also just people who are making waves in the space and having a chat with them. And today's episode, we've got a really interesting one, and one I'm really excited to do. We're actually joined by Louis Adkins. Now, Louis, people have asked me about Louis. Quite a lot of people, actually, well-known people in the industry, people you'll know, marketers and stuff, have gone, who's this kid? And they literally say this kid, and you'll see why, because he's just coming out of uni. He's in uni at the moment. And he's all over LinkedIn. He's engaging with people like me, like Matt Chapman. I've had many people message me saying, like Chris Target, Social Brokers, going like, who is this guy? And he's somebody that I was lucky enough to meet a few months back now. And he shared his passion for what he was doing in the marketing space for brokers, and I just absolutely loved his energy, his spirit. And since then, we've kind of ended up unintentionally becoming a bit of a more of a mentee kind of mentor relationship. And I just have to have him on the show because I'm really proud of what he's doing, and I think that you guys are going to get some serious value. And I think he's a name to watch for in the future. And so I want to get him on now. And then I'm sure he'll be a regular person on the podcast, and we'll bring him back on over and over again. But really excited to bring on Louis. So, Louis, mate, welcome to the show.
Hello, Ash. I just want to say quickly, thank you very much for having me on the show. I appreciate it a lot. It's the first time I'm being interviewed on a podcast, so it's quite surreal, but it's cool. I'm looking forward to it.
It's good, no, and like I said to you off air, it's just literally conversation. And I think it's interesting whenever I listen to podcasts, everyone's always talking about like a lot of these people, it's the first time they've been interviewed. So but like loads of people, and most people I interview, it's their first time that they've been interviewed as well. So it's all good. It's all good, mate. So Louis, give us a little bit of a first question I'll ask to you is, you're very entrepreneurial. You're an entrepreneurial guy, and we're going to kind of learn more about you. That's what my idea for this show is to learn more about you. So you're quite an entrepreneurial guy. What I want to first know about you is what sparked that entrepreneurial spirit. What was the thing that made you go, do you know what? I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to run my own business.
Yeah, that's a very good question. I don't think there was like one moment where I was like, I wanted to have my own business. I think it's a combination of things. So first of all, all my family had their own businesses, like my dad, my stepdad, my grandparents, and I look up to all of them, and I'm kind of surrounded by it. But also, when I was young, I just loved coming up with ideas, and just if it was making things or like whatever it was. But for some reason, I especially enjoyed coming up with ideas as a way of like making money. I don't really know why. I was just like really interested in. So like, if you think like some kids, they like look up to Cristiano Ronaldo or Messi. I was like, even now, I like look up to like big entrepreneurs like Alex Hormozy, or at the time when I was younger, it was like Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, like all these people. I was like, how can they earn that much money a year? I was like amazed by it. And I was like, I've got to figure out how to do it. And that obviously led me to the path of like owning your own business and things like that. So then started learning from there, really. And that's kind of what I was like, okay, I've got to come up with my own business idea, whatever it is.
And you said that you have pursued lots of different ideas. When me and you have spoken off here, and one of the stuff you said in your bio was you pursued many ideas, but you didn't stick to any. What were some of those ideas you've pursued before? Yeah. I'd love to know what some of those were.
No, so like one of the first really early ideas, I don't think I've ever mentioned this to anybody, was like, I think it was about 14. And do you ever remember loom bands? I don't know. Do you remember those? Like the little bands that you'd take and you'd make them into little bracelets.
Yes, I know what you mean. Yes, I do remember. Yes.
Like, tie them together. So
the little rubber bands, band things.
So on my like estate where I lived, like this housing estate where there was like loads of other kids around, and we all we all used to make loom bands. So my idea was like, right, I'm going to make loom bands, and like I can buy a pack for 50p or whatever it was, and I'll sell them to people for like £1.50.
Yeah.
I think I had like 3 customers who were like my auntie, my uncle, my dad, and that was how far that business got. And then it was like, obviously, because I was young, I didn't really have much to give, so I was like trying to trade my Nerf guns with my friends, and I set up like a Nerf gun YouTube channel because I saw someone else do that. And I was like, yeah, because I can make money through ads, and I can also like trade the Nerf guns to my friends, and I can try and get better trade and sell them on eBay or something. Like it was just little weird ideas like that. But then I'm trying to think of, then I started to learn about like people coming up with software ideas, and I was like, right, okay, what's like a software idea I can come up with? And I can't really remember them now because I literally used to have like an idea a week, and I'd like go all in on it and then forget about it, move on to the next idea. But I started trying to come up with like software ideas. But yeah, as you say, like it was one of those things where I just would come up with the idea, pour myself into it for like a week, 2 weeks, and then move on to something else. And my mum always would be like, you know, you go through all these phases. You go through all these phases all the time. And it was like, because I just wanted to do something, but I just quickly moved. I think I just liked coming up with ideas, to be honest.
That's my mum's used to say the same to me. She'd always be like, and the same thing. She'd be like, you're obsessed. You obsess on stuff and then you move on.
Yeah,
My dad as well used to say to me, my life is lots of like different things, like very similar. Where there's like, because I was performing arts, you know, I was in the West End, like did all of that, and then I like you don't know any of this stuff, and so it's like all these things that like I get to like the point. My dad was like, you always get to the point where you're just about to be very successful. And then you kind of go, oh, something else. And that was mine. And you say about, I love that entrepreneurial thing because you're like triggering memories. So my very first business thing I did was flipping Pokemon games. So Nintendo Pokemon games. You used to be able to buy on eBay, you could buy Pokemon games, the Nintendo, like the Game Boy games, you'd be able to buy them in packs of 5. So they would have all 3. So you'd have like the Ruby Red, the Sapphire Green, it was all of them. And then if you went onto Amazon and you sold them separately, you could buy like a pack of them for like £50, but you could sell them individually for like £30. And there was 5 in each of them. And once I realized that, I was like, oh, wow. So if I put a couple of £100 in, like I can make like £1,000 back. Like it's quite, and that was my very first thing. So I completely relate to your like, and by the way, that failed miserably in the end. Like it didn't, because what happened was the market bottomed out on it, and then I had no money left. And I still have to this day, like in random boxes of stuff that's come back from my parents. Like there's like these game cartridges, and because they're like they're not UK, they're US, so it's like they're not worth anything. It's really annoying, but I get that. So why move into marketing then? Because that's something you're into now. That's what you're doing now. That's what you've been doing for quite a while. Why marketing?
So there's 2 things really. So the first thing I mentioned is that I started wanting to come up with software ideas and business ideas. And then a lot of the business ideas from that point of view, I was like, you know, if this really has to grow, I want to do well with this, I'm going to have a bit of money up front. And I had no money up front because I was like a young kid. Yeah. I'm a young kid. So I'm at uni. I don't have any money for like startups or anything like that. And I was online and I saw people starting, they were called SMMAs, which is like social media marketing agency. And it was like, you just put your time in and then you just have to work hard for like 6 months. And then you'll be able to tell by then, like you'll be able to get a client in by then and start working on it. And that's what I did. I was like, okay, I'll make a commitment 6 months and I'll just go for it. And what happened over the 6 months, which brings me on to the second reason, is like, as I was learning about marketing, I realized this is a really cool way for me to like explore my interest and passion into businesses, because I can help other businesses who have other cool ideas grow by coming up with cool ideas for them. Did you get what I mean? Like,
no, I know exactly what you mean. It's literally we're like the same person. So
it's not like I was like fixated on one idea anymore, because one day I could like help this business who does this cool thing, and then I could go and help a completely different business who's trying to do something slightly different. I could just be involved with all sorts of people, but come up with different ideas for them. So like that entrepreneurial idea, like I just loved it. So I kind of poured myself into it.
So then what made you go into, because you are now working with finance brokers, so IFAs, mortgage brokers, commercial brokers. That's commercial is how I met you. Why choose finance, and specifically that financial intermediary market. Why did you get into that? Because that's what you're doing now. And that's obviously people will be thinking, you're 10 minutes into this Ash talking and you know, like, which is good, but then what's this got to do with brokers? It's got everything to do with brokers is why you're on the show. So why did you choose that and how did you fall into that?
Yeah. So what happened is when I started the marketing agency, all the advice around it from everything I learned was, pick a niche.
Yeah.
Pick a niche, go after a niche because that's where you can stand out and compete. So originally I was going to go after gyms because I like going to the gym and I'm a customer at the gym, so I can, do my marketing based off what I would find interesting and what I was like. So I was like, great, I'll do that. And then around that time, so I started the business originally with my best mate, and his dad, who's a bridging broker, was like, oh, look, I see that you're doing these ads for people, or you're trying to do these ads for people. Could you do some ads for me? Because I really want to try it out. So we were like, yeah, we won't turn down a client because we can get a testimonial or a review and it will really help. So we started doing that. And then, we did that for him. And I was like, a lot of other brokers don't really have much idea about how to set up their own ad campaigns or run their social medias, which is kind of what we did for him. So I was like, I think it can help a lot more people with this. And I think it's a bit of a missed opportunity here. And then we kind of decided after working with him that was going to be our niche because we've already got a client in it as well.
And then how's that been since then? I mean, how have you found, are you still thinking, this is the niche for you, or are you like, where's your head at with all of that now?
Yeah, so it's hard, isn't it? Like, if I'll be honest, originally I did have some doubts going like towards, because then shortly after, so my best mate and I, we decided to go separate ways with the business because we weren't talking as friends anymore. We were just always talking about this, and we were like, I don't want to do that anymore. I think we should just talk as friends. So still best of friends now, and we decided to go separate ways about it. But then I wanted to carry on, so I set up I started doing it by myself, and I can't remember where I was going with this now.
No, it's fine. So it's like, so you're saying what I was saying was, is it something you've been you worked with a broker, with a commercial broker, you're interested in it? Is it something that you're looking now to pursue long term?
Yeah. It definitely is something I'm looking to pursue long term because I was saying I had doubts.
Doubts.
Because I thought, maybe the market's not quite ready for it yet or something. But I think really what it was is I was looking at other niches and thinking the grass is kind of greener and things. Yeah. It's not always the case. And then it's because I started going around asking brokers and I hit a bit of bad luck. Like I got on five sales calls, every single one said no, or maybe 3 said no initially, 2 said yes, and then they just ignore my emails and never get back to me. So I was like, it's just not going to work. I was like, no, this is not the niche. But then I hit a bit of luck, started getting in contact with you, and you really helped me out in feeling a bit more confident about the niche I was in and things. And I've realised now that I can help all the brokers. I just need to make it was a problem with me and how I was selling myself and what I was offering. That's what it was really. So yeah,
that makes sense, and that's something we've, me and you've spoken about, is that and I actually was speaking about this with many people who who I know, kind of mutual now, is that one of the guys was asking me about you, saying well, what is he? And I said, I don't know what he's going to do in the space, but I just believe that you're going to do something. And you remind me a lot of me, and the reason why I say that is you remind me a lot of me when I first started doing this. I didn't know what I wanted to do in it, but I knew that I knew what I was talking about, and I also knew that there was a business there to be had. Yeah. But I didn't know who that was, and there was a guy that helped me. And everyone who'll know this is a guy called Alex Curtis, who runs the Lead Engine, and people who will listen to this, he took me under his wing and was like, this is what you could do, and you could do this, and there was and if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing today. I mean, he's still a good friend of mine, and to this day. But that's where. So when I talk to people about you, I'm like, I think that you're a similar person in a similar spot, which is, I speak to so many marketers. Also, there are people who do what you do already. There are people. It's not. It's funny, and I love that when you say, that's one of our first conversations we had when you said, this is a miss. There's not much happening. No one's doing it. And I was like, well, there are 5 people I know doing what you're doing already. But what I don't think is that there's not many people doing it with the passion that Like what I'm known for in this industry is being very passionate about what I do. And that's something that I'm attracted to with yourself, was that you were passionate about it and you were like relentless at it.
Yeah.
And there's not many people who are doing that. Most people are doing it because it's a business and it's money and it's a good niche. You're doing it because you want to truly try and make something work. You're trying very hard. And I've seen the effort you've put in, and you've connected with loads of people. So who are some of the people you've spoken to already now? You've chatted, because people will know them when they're listening to them.
Yeah, I've spoken to Matthew Chapman. I met Gary Waters the other day. Everyone I've spoken to and met with has been really, really nice. And obviously I've spoken to you as well.
David Miles, we spoke to recently, was that right?
Well, I'm speaking to him next week. So I'm speaking to David Miles.
So you spoke to him by the time this is out, but yeah.
Yeah. So I'm speaking to him as well, and I'm speaking to but I've always liked to just kind of reach out and chat to people, because I was always under the impression that it's like, whenever you're new to things, just go out and ask the people who have done it already and see what they say, and that's kind of what I did. Whenever I was messaging brokers when I was first starting, it wasn't like a cold hard sales script message. Then it was like, look, I've just started. Would you be interested in talking to me about the space, kind of thing? Because I just wanted to learn, really.
And I think that's the thing is, like, that's what I mean with yourself. The stuff I've seen, and by the way, I do apologize. People who listen to this, we're recording this, and I'm just recovering from the flu. So if my nose is like, and that's why. But one of the things that I have, noticed with you is that you've really appeared a lot. You appeared all over LinkedIn. You're very active. So can you just talk me through a little bit about this, how your activity and what you're doing, and how much of your time you're spending getting yourself out there? Because you are, like, if I put a post, you're like the first person to comment, like, every time. And then I see you commenting on all other people's stuff as well. And not just like randomers, they're like people who are industry like leaders at what they do. And so, yeah, talk me through your kind of LinkedIn approach.
Yeah. So I can go into the specifics of what I do day to day as well.
Yeah, I'd love to know. Go for it.
So specifics of what I do day to day is every single day I try and comment on like 5 to 10 posts from industry leaders or creators, because I try and get my name underneath your post in hopes that you'll put your name underneath my post. Yes. And also if say 1,000 people see one of your posts and I've commented on it at the bottom, then those 1,000 people are going to see my name and they're going to associate me and you together. Yeah. And also those 1,000 people are likely going to be mortgage brokers who I'm going after as well. So
he's going to steal my. No, I'm joking. That's good.
Yeah. So that's the logic with the commenting.
So you do 10 people a day on that?
5 to 10. It depends how many people post, obviously. And also, I don't want to like force comments. I only try and comment when I can add something that's like actually valuable or ask a question. Otherwise, it's just a bit. Also, commenting on everyone's post every single day is a little bit creepy, I think. So,
oh mate, I do it all the time. I comment on about 100 people a day. So so I'm creepy as creepy.
And I try and add like 5 to 10 mortgage brokers to build my audience, and then I try and also look at who the other influencers are in the space and see if I can connect with them. And then I try and send like 1 to 3 direct messages to someone like yourself or a big brokerage, just asking to have a chat, introduce myself over Zoom, and then I post twice a week, same time every Tuesday and Thursday, to kind of so my audience gets used to me posting at those times. So they can be like, oh, look, he's posting at that time. Yeah, he's posting at this time. But the whole kind of that's kind of like what I do day to day. And the whole kind of strategy, the way I learned it was from all of my ideas and things come from like basically all those books behind me. And one of the books is called Traffic Secrets by Russell Brunson. And his whole idea is to go after people called your Dream 100, which is like, think about the 100 influencers in a space. They all have your dream customers, and now try and like reach out to those Dream 100, appear where they appear, so you can kind of get in front of their audience rather than try and build it all up yourself. And that was kind of the whole. And I picked LinkedIn because that's where I can reach all the mortgage brokers because they all put underneath their profile. So.
Yeah, I know, because that's exactly right, and I love that strategy. It's literally I spend about 40 minutes a day on LinkedIn and do exactly that strategy. Again, Russell Brunson Ross, I've read all 3 of his books and took the same concept, but I ended up calling it is like you say Dream 100, but I ended up calling them key players. So I used to say it'd be like you'd go when I just started speaking to people. It's like, who are the people that are the decision makers of that, or influencers? And I hate the word influencer because everyone thinks like what we think now, but it's not. As you say, it's like people who have influence within a specific circle or sphere.
And then voice.
Yeah, exactly. And then doing that, it's hard though. How have you found it? You said at the beginning of this, you also said to me off air, you're somebody who is, you kind of, don't stick to stuff in regards to previously. How have you found being able to be like very sticking to that? Because you've been very good with this. I've seen you, we and you've known each other for a couple of months now, and you're consistently using LinkedIn, consistently posting, consistently making enough name that people are asking me who you are. So how have you found that? How have you found that consistency? Has it been hard to stay consistent, or has it been all right?
Yeah, some days it has, but I suppose I've kind of built it into as like a habit, and it's come as at this. I think the reason why I backed off of a lot of ideas when I was younger is because I didn't have a lot of discipline when I was younger, and as I've got older, I've kind of, I don't know, I've just worked on that part of myself, and like I read Atomic Habits as well, which is a very good book, and that's all about building habits into you, because then it becomes easy. You don't have to like force yourself to do it. It's just natural. You just do it straight away. And that's what I kind of did. I just built them in as habits. And I tried to make it as easy as possible for me as well. So like one of the first things because when I originally started trying to post, I gave up after 2 weeks. And the whole, I think the first reason why is because I never planned my content in advance. I always wrote on the day, tried to come up with an idea on the day. And that makes it so difficult for yourself. So I tried to make it easy for myself by like, whenever I got an idea, I'd just write them in a draft, and then I'd write just when things came to me, maybe even 5 posts in like an hour, and then it'd be so much easier to just post them. And that's what I do now. Like every Saturday or Sunday, I just pick my 2 content ideas that I want to write, and I just write the posts over those 2 days, and then it's so much easier.
It's hard as well though, because that idea of like content planning versus not, that's funnily enough the issue I always run into this issue, which is if that whole thing of if you fail to prepare, then prepare to fail. Mm-hmm. And I always run into it. I've done this for years, and I'm like, well, that was one of the issues I had recently, which is why I reset the podcast and redid all this. Was you get to the point, once you're at the point where you're thinking of the thing to talk about every single day, and you're at the point where you're like, what am I going to say today? You've lost. I find that to me is where the quality of the content starts to, and be interested to hear your take on it, but that's where the content for myself, as someone who does lots of content and has done for many, many, many years, that's when it slips. Like I look back and go, wow, those episodes are terrible. Like I'll listen to myself and be like, what is that? Like, and it's fine, but it's not like, but I'm like, did it truly serve the people I was trying to serve? Like, did it genuinely help them? And my other thing as well, I'm a big fan of is like, when you write down stuff, it's like, was that post actionable? Was something from that post that someone could take away and be like, I learned that? Or was it just me rambling about what I felt about something? And I think, I don't know if you ever have the same thing, but I know with me, that's been my biggest problem, is that once I run out of things to say and don't do the prep work, because you can always think of things to say. The thing that I always love with that strategy, be interested in yours, but like I learned this from a really, really good YouTuber who said, just whenever you're making a piece of content, tag it to the next piece. So what he used to do is he'd be like, so if you like this piece, then check out my next post where I'm going to break down. And he said, and just say what you're going to do. Just as you're flowing through, just go, if you like that, then check out my next one, because I'll break this down in more detail with this thing. And he said, and then you just make that thing. He said, and you just consistently like daisy chain it, is what he called it. So you just like, that helps. And you're like, oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. So you write this plan, then I'm like, oh, but actually that would make more sense to follow from that. And then that would, and it's quite like linking.
Yeah, that's I've never thought about doing that before, which is a really good idea. But one of the things that I do is I used to be scared of like repurposing my content for the same thing. So I used to think like, if I've done an idea, I can never do it again. But now it's, if I do like, I don't know, a post on 3 tips how to generate leads on LinkedIn, I can also flip that and say the same things in a different way by just going, here are the 3 biggest mistakes I see people make on LinkedIn. that are stopping you from getting leads. And then they're the exact same post, really, but they're just said in a different way. And that's one thing
That's a good way of doing it, though, because most problems, something I do as well is I take an idea and I you make a video from it, then make a text post from it, then make it try and do that as well. Because oftentimes, and then also as well, something I try to do for that might help for many people listening, but is that I do the posts. So the 5, let's say I'll do a weekly long form piece of content. And then there's probably 4 or 5 things I could do. There could be 4 or 5 small individual posts from that longer piece.
Yeah. It's a good idea as well. I've seen, if you're running Google ads or doing anything like that, you can use the search terms that come up, and then you know what people are searching for. And if you know what people are searching for, then take those. If someone searches how can I get a mortgage, or I don't know, just take that, then that could be your next blog, is literally how could I get a mortgage? And then in that blog, you could break that down into 5 LinkedIn posts as well.
Yeah.
So you can use other bits of content in different places.
And with the power of ChatGPT now, with AI in general, but ChatGPT is a great one. Is with the right prompts, you can get that post to be I'm a big fan of ChatGPT. I'm a big fan of it when you put in content you've made yourself. So as long as I'm a big thing of it. If you write that initial blog, or you dictate that initial blog, and then you put it in and get it to structure it, redo it, then you can. I do this all the time. I have hundreds and hundreds of written posts. Every little written post I do on LinkedIn is saved, and then I will put it back into ChatGPT and say, "Can you rewrite this?"
Yeah, that's.
Can you just rewrite this again? And they'll go, "Yeah, okay." Can you rewrite this from this perspective? Can you rewrite it from this perspective? And they're like, "Yeah, okay." Can you rewrite this with a bit of humor? When Christmas comes, can you rewrite this with a Christmas flair to it? There's literally so many things now because of that tool on our fingertips.
Yeah. I don't use ChatGPT all that much. I think the reason for it is because with copywriting and writing, I'm still trying to learn it. So
the skill, yeah.
I'm trying to whenever I can practice it as much as I can. So my LinkedIn posts, my writing has got slowly better. I can see now as I go back, but I keep trying to write them, so I can make them slightly better for the ads that are out for people, but also for the LinkedIn content.
So what is it that you're doing then? Let's dive into what you're currently offering. I know the services kind of move around. So what is it you're currently offering to brokers so they can have a little bit of a pitch?
Yeah, good. Okay. So basically,
you don't have to pitch, by the way. Just tell me.
No, I'm not. It's so we had the conversation that it's a done for you as opposed to a done with you.
Yeah.
And basically, what I do is I build out a landing page exactly how the mix that meets the branding of the brokerage that matches it, and then I run Google ads or Facebook ads to that landing page to drive traffic, and then I convert that traffic into leads by doing a lead form. But then I onboard it onto a software I have, which does automated follow-up sequences for a week, 2 weeks, all the way up to 6 months. Which automatically books an appointment into your diary. So it's the whole point is the broker doesn't have to do anything. They just have to show up the appointments that have been pre-qualified and pre-scheduled onto their calendar. That's kind of what my offer is at the moment.
That's what you've been working on. And I know the software you're using, and it's very good. And it's actually the software that I use to run my business. So I think it's a really cool thing. So if people want to learn more about you, want to connect with you, they want to learn about your offer, where's the best place to go?
The best place to go to hear more about me is LinkedIn, which is just LinkedIn/Louis Adkins.
Yeah.
But then I also have my website where you can book in a call with me, which is just labsmedia, labs.uk. Not co.uk.
.uk. And you've got a podcast as well, don't you, that comes out each week?
Yeah. So every single Wednesday, I try to do it between 10 and 11. I have a podcast, which is literally just me sat exactly here, talking into the camera about me growing my business at uni and how I'm learning to do the things I'm doing and what I do in my day to grow it and things. And I also give marketing tips and advice on there as well.
I love it, mate. It's so good. Thank you so much for coming on. It's been a really good pleasure. And I say, me and you will be working together behind the scenes anyway. Yeah. And I think, it's you're doing some really good work, and I'm really excited to see where you go. So thank you very much. I'm just going to put you in the green room, and I'll just end the show out.
All right. Thank you.
So, guys, there we have it. That was Louis. Mate, Louis is brilliant, and I would highly recommend you guys go and check out his stuff. He is speaking to lots of people, like I said, and you can hear it there in the industry. And I believe that I've seen some of the stuff he's working on, and some of the stuff he's been doing for some clients of his, and it's good. And I think that you definitely want to watch this space because he's somebody that I believe is going to be right up there in the next 12 to 18 months. So definitely connect with him. Get to know him now before it blows up, because you'll thank me now or you'll regret it later, I'm sure. Anyway, guys, if you've enjoyed the show, be sure to subscribe, and I will see you in the next episode of Mortgage Mavericks. Bye.